We now know how Russiagate got started, and we know that it was all a lie started by the Hillary Clinton campaign. That Hillary Clinton campaign realized she was in trouble because of her email scandal, which had broken in 2015 in the wake of Benghazi. We found these emails of hers that were weird, and people were like, what server was that on, and so on. And it created a problem for her all the way up to Election Day 2016.
But I could see them and hear them in my ear, and they said, Tulsi Gabbard, you're coming out and criticizing Hillary Clinton and her foreign policy record. Aren't you afraid of what she'll do to you? He asked me this on live television on MSNBC. And you're laughing. I laughed too. I was like, no, I am not afraid of what Hillary Clinton can do to me.
Megyn Kelly and Tulsi Gabbard teamed up to totally roast Hillary Clinton, like two friends spilling all the tea on a big-time politician who thought she'd heard it all. From her campaign mistakes to years of drama, they didn't miss a thing. Hillary's shiny image falls apart as they point out her contradictions, scandals, and slip-ups that kept her from getting the power she really wanted. This isn't just them saying stuff. It's a full-on takedown with clever jokes and straight-up fire.
Clinton, of course, is the original election denier. I'm sure you voted for her in 2016.
Well, she's not an election denier.
She absolutely was the OG election denier.
First of all, she came out before the sun had risen to concede the election to Trump.
And then spent the next 4 years saying he was illegitimate. He was an illegitimate president.
Okay, well, first of all, she didn't say he was an illegitimate.
Yes, she did.
You tell me exactly what she said.
She said those exact words repeatedly.
They are using the same old tactic that the deep state's propaganda arm in the media uses. Whenever they come across something that is true and that doesn't go along with whatever their narrative is that they're trying to shove down the throats of the American people, they first usually ignore it, as they did when I first released these documents.
If you're liking this video, please hit subscribe and tap the bell icon. Megyn Kelly's super sharp words cut through the fake stuff in politics, showing how Hillary couldn't connect with regular people even after years in the spotlight. She pulls apart Hillary's practice speeches and fake caring to show a politician who cares more about looking good than actually being real. Megyn makes fun of Hillary's constant tries to seem new and cool, turning every campaign slogan into a joke about bad choices and missed chances.
Stole his first term as president. These absolute liars who run around trying to act like they're the protectors of democracy completely ruined it, tried to undermine it at every turn and at the highest levels with lies, with out-and-out lies that were really serious, and changed foreign policy and changed the course of history in this country in Trump's presidency. And there must be accountability. There has to be actual criminal accountability for those who lied. And I can't wait to see this administration do it.
Tulsi Gabbard brings her own insider view, tearing apart Hillary's foreign policy work like a pro. From weird choices in the Middle East to being too close with rich and powerful people, Tulsi shows a history full of contradictions and bad calls. Her words focus on how Hillary's actions didn't match the big ideas she said she cared about, making her look like a politician who wanted power more than progress.
The fact that all of these pieces fit quite seamlessly together, creating a very clear timeline that shifted from before the election. The intelligence community almost uniformly saying essentially that Russia is trying to sow discord in the US election, but has no preference for one candidate over another. And then all of a sudden, Trump wins the election, surprising many people, both here and abroad, as we've learned in later documents that we've reviewed, that throughout that campaign, Russia believed that Hillary Clinton would win the election.
Together, Megyn Kelly and Tulsi hit hard, showing all the cracks in Hillary's armor. The scandals, the mistakes, and the constant failure to make people really trust her. Their voices team up to break the big myth of Hillary Clinton, showing a career more about drama and missed shots than real wins. It's a tough roast that doesn't let her spin or say sorry. It's a straight-up look at a woman who once seemed untouchable, but now looks totally taken apart.
And our audience knows this, and you guys, just for the record, let's play SOT 10.
I do think that he knows that he's an illegitimate president. I believe he knows he's an illegitimate president. He knows that there were a bunch of different reasons why the election turned out the way it did. And as I've been telling candidates who have come to see me, you can run the best campaign, you can even become the nominee, and you can have the election stolen from you.
We're trying to tell the American people the truth and expose these people, many of whom you just showed, for who they are as the propaganda arm of the deep state, which would have no power and no influence if they weren't able to feed their lies into a willing spokesperson through the propaganda media.
Hillary Clinton's political life has been a wild ride of contradictions, full of big hopes and huge letdowns. Tulsi and Megyn don't just point out her mistakes. They shine a light on the gap between her perfect public image and the messy truth behind it. It's the story of a politician who was great at staying famous, but couldn't win over the people she said she was fighting for.
So what is so concerning about what Hillary Clinton is doing here is she is not only calling me a traitor, she is not only trying to smear my character, she's sending a warning out to every veteran, every single American, anyone who stands up against the warmongering foreign policies that really are her legacy, that have been so destructive and costly to my brothers and sisters in uniform.
Megyn Kelly zooms in on how Hillary talks, all polished but empty, practiced but not real. She paints a picture of a politician whose words feel like they're from a script meant to impress groups, not connect with real people. Megyn shows how Hillary's big campaign promises and grand ideas felt fake to voters tired of politician talk. She wasn't a leader who got people excited. She was someone trying hard to stay important in a changing world. Meanwhile, Tulsi Gabbard adds her insider take, picking apart Hillary's foreign policy like someone who knows the real stakes. Tulsi doesn't hold back on the drama, from messing up Libya to trouble in Syria, showing how Hillary's choices caused big problems far away. Her words point out how Hillary's actions went against the peace and fairness she said she stood for. Together, they say this balancing act made voters trust her even less, seeing through her carefully built image.
And as she got closer to Election Day, she decided to concoct 2 lies about Donald Trump to distract from her email scandal. She got the Steele dossier through this Fusion GPS company, which her campaign paid, and she got this group CrowdStrike, which was the one responsible for the hack into that's the one that said that the Russians hacked the DNC email.
Megyn Kelly doesn't stop there. She calls out how Hillary tried to control what the news said about her. She shows how the Clinton campaign pushed to quiet critics and shape stories, creating a vibe where anyone who questioned her got hit hard. This wasn't the open, honest leadership people wanted. It was a super controlled PR plan to protect a shaky image. Tulsi adds more, saying Hillary didn't get how upset regular working people were. She points out how Hillary's campaign ignored their struggles, letting her rivals take advantage of those gaps. Tulsi and Megyn both say the email scandal was a big deal, not just a small mistake. Tulsi says it showed bigger problems, like bad decisions and not being totally honest, which hurt how people saw Hillary.
One of the pieces that Glenn and I were getting close to in the discussion was the Hillary piece of this. And the evidence, because that is, they do name a couple of names in this appendix on who came up with this scam. And the name that we keep seeing over and over, as one of them at least, was Julianne Smith. Schellenberger writes Julianne, it's Julianne. He writes, the alleged creator of the plan was Julianne Smith, a Clinton policy advisor.
Megyn Kelly points out the contradictions, saying Hillary's rise was about breaking barriers as a woman, but her campaign moves sometimes didn't match the teamwork you'd expect from a feminist hero. Tulsi says Hillary missed chances to really bring people together, choosing political plans that pushed people away instead. As the roast goes on, they take apart the idea that Hillary was always going to win. They show how her campaign was full of mistakes, too much confidence, and not taking her rival seriously. Megyn shows how Hillary didn't see how strong regular people's movements were or how much they wanted real change. Tulsi agrees, saying this was a huge mistake in a time when people wanted realness, not old-school politics. The roast also shows how Hillary's legacy splits people. Some love her, but for others, she's a symbol of frustration and disappointment with politics.
Also, in this latest House report, they talk about how they also in the House, this is a House in 2020, pointing out that the ICA of 2017 ignored evidence that Putin seemed to be protecting Hillary Clinton in a couple of ways. It did not mention, for example, that Putin chose not to leak info he appeared to have on Hillary Clinton's health, including that she suffered from psycho-emotional problems and was on daily tranquilizers. We don't know whether that's true. We know that Putin appeared to have that intel in his pocket and chose not.
Giving the criminal charges to the Department of Justice, I am not an attorney, but as I've said previously, when you look at the intent behind creating a fake manufactured intelligence document that directly contradicts multiple assessments were created by the intelligence community, the expressed intent and what followed afterward can only be described as a years-long coup and a treasonous conspiracy against the American people.
The big finish hits hard and clear. Kelly and Tulsi's teamwork paints Hillary as someone who built her own political fall, not just someone who got unlucky. They say her legacy will be more about missed chances, trust she didn't earn, and an image that fell apart when people looked closely. This isn't just a roast, it's a reality check. A call to look past the hype and new spin to see the real messy story of one of America's most watched politicians. Kelly and Tulsi remind us that in politics, being real and taking responsibility matter way more than fancy speeches and perfect images. They dig deep into what went wrong, not just on the campaign trail, but in who Hillary is as a politician. It shows a woman who wanted to be everything to everyone, but ended up not really connecting with anyone.
So the Russians were able to hack Leonard, and that's where they saw the plan. And we now have in the Durham Annex, like full screen grabs of the Russian memos that the Dutch got their hands on and leaked to us, where the Russians are recounting exactly what they saw Leonard discussing about this Hillary Clinton fan and emissary, Julianne Smith, and how they were going to stop Trump, undermine Trump, but most importantly, distract from Hillary's email scandal.
Megyn Kelly and Tulsi Gabbard dissect Hillary Clinton's carefully crafted image that felt fake to voters. Polished speeches and forced relatability screamed inauthenticity, costing her trust. Kelly highlights compromises that clashed with Hillary's values, while Tulsi slams her foreign policy missteps, cozying up to global elites and destabilizing regions. Hillary's team tried controlling the narrative, but defensive tactics fueled suspicion. Her campaign ignored working-class struggles, leaving room for rivals. The email scandal, clumsily handled, became a trust-killing mess. Kelly mocks the contradictions in Hillary's women's rights rhetoric, and Tulsi calls out how mixed messages diluted a potentially unifying cause. Overconfidence blinded her campaign to grassroots demands for change. Kelly and Tulsi agree. Hillary's legacy warns that leadership demands genuine connection, not just ambition. Want leaders who truly connect? Demand authenticity in politics. Share your voice and hold candidates accountable.